Now in the heat transfer practical, now today we are going to discuss about the practical which is oriented to the double pipe heat exchanger, and our objective of this practical is to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient for co-current flow. Now in the double pipe heat exchanger there may be a co-current flow case or there may be a counter current flow case. So for this practical we are going to maintain the co-current flow, right? The practical significance of this practical is the heat transfer coefficient is an important parameter during thermal application in chemical process industry. So in the previous sessions we have already discussed about the heat transfer coefficient. That heat transfer coefficient is the main parameter in the convection phenomena, and it is nothing but the K by X value as far as the Fourier law is concerned. So in the conduction phenomena, we are calculating the rate of heat transfer with the help of thermal conductivity and thickness. But in the convection phenomena, this K by X, that is thermal conductivity to the thickness or the distance of heat transfer, is replaced by a new parameter that is called as heat transfer coefficient. So this co-current or counter-current phenomena is nothing but the convection, and that is why we must focus on the heat transfer coefficient. Now if you observe the rate of heat transfer formula for the convection, the general formula is Q equal to HA delta T. So that H is nothing but the heat transfer coefficient, and from this formula we can understand this rate of heat transfer or the heat flux is directly proportional to the heat transfer coefficient. So Q is directly proportional to H. That is why this H is important. So double pipe heat exchangers are used in industries. That may be for heating or cooling purpose, and different flow patterns affects the overall heat transfer coefficient. The relevant program outcomes for this practical and for this HTO is PO1, that is basic knowledge. So that apply the knowledge of basic mathematics, science, basic engineering to solve the chemical engineering problems. Then another PO is discipline knowledge. So you can apply the chemical engineering knowledge to solve the industry-based chemical engineering problem. In the PO3, experiments and practices, plan to perform the experiments and practices to use the result to solve technical problems related to chemical engineering. Then communication, communicate effectively in oral and written form. And PSO, that is program specific outcome, is material management and quality control. So we must manage the chemicals which is used in this heat exchanger, and we have to manage the equipment to produce quality chemical products. So in this practical, we can apply the basic knowledge of science, mathematics, engineering. We can apply the knowledge of discipline. We can apply the knowledge of experiment and practices, and we must use the proper or appropriate communication technique and media for effective results. The competency and practical skill for this practical is use heat transfer principle to increase the efficiency and to save energy in chemical process plant. So the main purpose is to use the thermocouple to measure the temperature, because in all the practicals of heat transfer operation, the driving force is temperature difference, that is delta T. And for calculating this delta T or to maintain this delta T, we must know the temperatures for the different location and with respect to the time. So to measure this temperature, we have to use the temperature measuring device like thermocouple, RTD, thermopile, etc. Then there is another parameter that is nothing but the volumetric flow rate. So for measuring this volumetric flow rate, we must use the rotameter, and that is why for this practical setup, these thermocouples or RTD and rotameters are the main instruments that is mounted on the practical setup. Then relevant course outcome for this practical is apply the concept of convection to operate the heat exchanger, choose proper heat transfer equipment for given applications. So we have already discussed about that. We have used the shell and tube heat exchanger. Then now we are going to use the double pipe heat exchanger, and in the future we are also going to use the open pan evaporator or some other heat exchangers. So for the specific application, for the specific use, we must use appropriate heat exchanger equipment depending on the conditions. Now, the practical outcome is using double pipe heat exchanger, calculate overall heat transfer coefficient, that is capital U, for co-current flow. Now it is a specific case, that is co-current flow. In the next session, we are going to discuss about the counter current flow. So co-current is nothing but the case where the hot fluid and cold fluid are in a same direction. That is also called as parallel flow. So parallel flow means hot fluid is and cold fluid is flowing in the same direction. Then relevant affective domain related outcomes are follow safe practices and maintain tools and equipments. So in some of the experiments or in the practical setup or while doing some practicals, we may face a problem of rotameter, we may face a problem of motors or pumps, we may face a problem of heat exchanger or coils. So there may be a technical problem. To solve this technical problem, we must maintain these tools and equipments, and we must maintain the availability of all these types of tools and equipments. And while doing this maintenance, while doing this practical or experiment, we must follow the safe practices. The minimum theoretical background for this practical is, that is simple. We have already discussed about the heat exchangers. We have already discussed about the heat transfer coefficient. And in this practical setup, there are two pipes, that is concentric pipes, that we must know. And these two pipes are having different fluids. That is, one fluid is hot fluid and second is cold fluid, right? So these two fluids are flowing in a same direction. That is nothing but the parallel flow condition or co-current flow conditions. So to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient, we must know the values of individual heat transfer coefficient, because this relation is 1 by U equal to 1 by HI plus 1 by HO plus XW by K. That is the general equation to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient for any type of heat exchanger. And for that purpose, we must understand or we must calculate the heat transfer coefficient or individual heat transfer coefficients. From this diagram, we can understand what exactly the double pipe heat exchanger is. So here, this schematic diagram clearly indicates that these are the two concentric pipes. Concentric pipe means having same center. So from the inner pipe, there is a fluid 1, and from outer pipe, there is a fluid 2. So there may be a fluid 1 may be a hot fluid, that may be a cold fluid depending on the conditions and the application. We are going to apply this hot fluid and cold fluid from the inner and outer pipe. So we have to maintain these temperatures in and out conditions for fluid 1 as well as fluid 2, and we have to measure the volumetric flow rate for this fluid 1 and 2. Then from this schematic, now we can understand the working principle, and with this graph we can understand what exactly the temperature profile is. Means how the temperature is going to change as per as the distance is concerned, as per as the length of heat exchanger is concerned. So from this diagram, from this graph, you can understand this T2 is going to increase and T2 dash is going to decrease. So how it indicates? Because the hot fluid is going to exhale their heat, means heat is given out by the hot fluid, and that is why this temperature is going to decrease with respect to the distance or the length of heat exchanger, and heat is gained by the cold fluid, and that is why this temperature is going to increase from T2 to T1 or whatever the indicators or the parameters. But this graph or line clearly indicates that this is the temperature profile or temperature line for the cold fluid, and this is the temperature line for the hot fluid, because heat is given out by the hot fluid, that is equal to the heat is gained by the cold fluid. So this graph is nothing but the temperature profile of a double pipe heat exchanger for co-current flow, and this schematic showing that this is the parallel flow, this condition or this arrow clearly indicate that this inner pipe flow is from left to right direction, and in a similar way, this outer pipe is also from left to right direction. So these both arrows are clearly mentioned that these fluids are in a parallel conditions. That is nothing but the co-current flow. Now, the temperature difference of these ends is nothing but the approach, that is indicated by this delta T2, and this temperature difference from this end is nothing but the delta T1. So it is delta T1 and delta T2 technically called as approaches, and if there is a difference between this T2 dash and T1 dash, or T2 and this T1, then it is called as range of that cold fluid and hot fluid, right? So if that there is a temperature difference between the inlet and outlet of the same fluid, then it is called a range. If it is a terminal temperature difference, then it is called as approach. So I hope you understand what is the difference between this range and approach in the heat transfer. We have to use this delta T1 and delta T2 values, that is nothing but the approach for the calculation of log mean temperature difference, that is LMTD. Because with the help of this only, we have to find out the heat transfer coefficients. Now you can observe this experimental setup. So the experimental setup may be different in the different institutes or in the different colleges. From this setup, you can observe that this is the double pipe heat exchanger setup, and here the insulations are provided for these fluids. There is arrangement of different valves to adjust this co-current and counter current flow, because in the same setup we can run the co-current condition as well as the counter current condition. Then these rotameters are nothing but the volumetric flow rate measurement devices for the cold fluid and for the hot fluid. Then there is a digital temperature indicators. Here it is a digital temperature indicators, and these are the knobs for the heater. So for heating purpose, we have to on this heater 1 and 2, and then we can start the experiment. So before that, we have to fill this double pipe heat exchanger assembly with the help of water. We have to maintain the continuous supply of water in this shell and tube heat exchanger. So after the theoretical explanation, I will show you the actual setup of this double pipe heat exchanger, and we will conduct an experiment on this setup. Then what resources are required for this practical? So inner pipe and outer pipe. So inner pipe having dimensions, that is ID 26 mm, OD 43 mm, length 1.2 mm. Then outer pipe, that is ID 68 mm, OD 76 mm. So these are the general guidelines and the general specification for a particular setup. If the practical setup is changed, if the company is changed, then these dimensions are also going to change. Then rotameters, that is 2 rotameters are required, and range may be 1 to 2 LPM. In some of the setups, that may be in terms of LPH. In some of the setup, that may be in terms of LPS. So approximate volumetric flow rate is 10 liters per minute. Then what precautions should be done before starting or before or while doing the experiment? Adjust the flow rate properly with the help of the rotameter, and consider the reading corresponding to the reading gauge of the flow. So we have to observe, we have to adjust the rotameter, that is the rotameter for cold fluid as well as for the hot fluid. And after deciding a particular parameter, say for example 10 liter per minute. So if you want to maintain the 10 liter per minute, we have to adjust the rotameter accordingly, and we have to maintain or note down the readings of both the rotameters. And now we have fixed the flow rate of cold and hot fluid. Then wait for the flow to be stable before taking the reading. wait for steady state condition to reach before taking inlet and outlet temperatures of the hot and cold fluid. So normally in the previous sessions also we have discussed about the steady state conditions, that if the parameter is not going to change with respect to time, then it is called as steady state condition. And steady state temperature is the condition where the temperature is becoming constant with respect to time. So after some time also, if the temperature is not going to change, then it is called as steady state temperature. So for any type of practicals in the heat transfer operation, we are going to note down the readings only after the steady state temperature conditions, right? So for that purpose, that requires at least 1.5 hours for the steady state conditions. Then what exactly the procedure for conducting this practical? So the first step is make the hot and cold water to flow through double pipe heat exchanger by opening the valves. So the first step or initial step is we have to maintain the water flow rate throughout the double pipe heat exchanger. Then adjust the flow rates of both fluids, that is cold and hot fluids, by adjusting the valves. Then switch on the heater and wait for the steady state condition. So these are the basic steps, that we have to maintain the hot and cold fluid. Then we have to adjust the valves and flow rates of the cold and hot fluid. And then we will going to switch on the heaters for heating purpose. Then we will wait for the steady state condition. Then after reaching the steady state condition, measure the flow rate of hot and cold water with the help of rotameter, and then note down the readings of inlet and outlet temperatures of hot and cold water. Then repeat the procedure for different flow rates of cold water. Suppose initially we have to maintain the 10 liters per minute. Then for the second cycle, if we maintain the rotameter as 9 liter per minute, then what will be the effect of this volumetric flow rate on the temperatures, on the temperature difference, on the overall heat transfer coefficient or the rate of heat transfer. So for the purpose of observation or comparison of the impact of the volumetric flow rate on the different parameters, we can change and we can take the different readings by repetition of the changing the flow rates. Then in this table, we have to note down whatever the resources we are going to use, the actual resources, because in the previous table, these are the guidelines from the board, and in this table, we have to note down the actual resources, that is the company name, the details, quantity, remarks, etc. Then the ideal procedure is already discussed, but whatever the procedure you have followed while doing the experiment, that should be noted down in this actual procedure followed point. Then precautions we have already discussed in the previous section, but in this point we must write down or note down the actual precautions followed by the students as well as the faculty members. Then in the observation and calculations table, we must write down the inner diameter of pipe, outer diameter of pipe, length of pipe, and the flow rates of cold water and hot water, or cold fluid and hot fluid. So that may be in terms of liter per second, liter per minute, liter per hour. But whatever the readings are there on your rotameter, but we have to convert this into LPS. Then we must mention or note down the temperatures of cold water inlet and outlet in Kelvin. Generally, the temperatures are in terms of degrees Celsius. We have to convert it into the Kelvin. And in a similar way, the flow rates in LPS and the temperatures of in and out of the hot water should be noted down. Then the sample calculations for the co-current set is, we must know the properties of water at mean temperature, that is the specific heat of hot fluid, specific heat of cold fluid, and that is in terms of kilojoules per kg. So here the specific heat is in terms of joules, the rate of heat transfer or the heat flux is in terms of joules per second, and that is why we have to convert this LPH or LPM in terms of LPS. So this is the second, and that is why in the calculation purpose also we are going to calculate the rate of heat transfer in terms of joules per second, and for the same unit we have to convert this LPH or LPM in terms of LPS. Then we must know the density of hot and cold water, that is in terms of kg per meter cube. Then the rate of heat transfer, that is Q. If it is not known, then we can calculate this rate of heat transfer with the help of basic formula, that is mCp delta T. So if it is for hot fluid, then this mass flow rate of hot fluid in terms of kg per second, then this Cp, that is specific heat for hot fluid, then Thi minus Tho is the range. Now you can recall what exactly the range is. So the temperature difference of the same fluid, that is nothing but the range. Now we are going to calculate the rate of heat transfer for the hot fluid. So that is why this delta T is Thi minus Tho. So the calculation should be in terms of watt, that is nothing but the joules per second, right? So we have already mentioned what exactly this Thi, Tho, mH and Cph. In the similar way, we can calculate the QC, that is rate of heat transfer for cold fluid, with the help of mCp delta T calculations. So mC is the mass flow rate of cold fluid, CPC is the specific heat of cold fluid, and TCO minus TCI are the temperatures and the temperature difference of cold fluid. That is again, it is a range of cold fluid. So that should be in terms of watt again. And we must calculate the average rate of heat transfer. So for that purpose, we have to take the average of QH and QC. That is QH plus QC divided by 2. Then the objective of this practical is to calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient, and that is why we must use the formula for the rate of heat transfer, that is UA delta TLM. So Q is equal to UA delta TLM, and we know that this delta TLM is nothing but the log mean temperature difference. So this LMTD can be calculated with the help of the formula, that is the ratio of delta T2 minus delta T1 and divided by ln of delta T2 by delta T1. So this formula can be used for calculations LMTD, and this delta T1 and delta T2 I have already explained. These are the approaches, that is terminal temperature differences of hot and cold fluid. So you can observe this delta T1 Thi minus Tci, right? So this hot and cold fluid. So one temperature is of hot fluid, one temperature is of cold fluid. So we can understand from this point that these are the terminal temperature differences. So we can calculate this delta T1 and delta T2, and on the basis of that we can calculate the log mean temperature difference. Now there is another parameter that we have to calculate, because if you observe, this is U, that is our target, right? So for calculation of U, we must know Q. That Q calculations we have already discussed. Now we must know the delta TLM that we have discussed just now, and then that is the area of heat transfer. So for the area of heat transfer, the inside area of heat transfer can be calculated with the help of pi dl formula. So this D is nothing but inside diameter for the inside heat transfer area. If it is outside heat transfer area, then it is DO. So with the help of this pi dl formula, we can calculate inside and outside area of heat transfer in terms of meter square. Now with the help of this Q equal to UA delta TLM general formula, we can take any type of formula that may be on the base of outside, that may be on the base of inside. So we are going to calculate this Q on the basis of outside heat transfer coefficient, outside area, and delta TLM, right? So in this formula, only rearrangement is there. So U outside is on the left hand side and remaining parameter is on the right hand side. So this UO is on the left hand side. So Q upon AO into delta TLM. Now we can calculate this Q value with the help of mCp delta T. Then we can calculate this area outside with the help of pi dl formula. and we can calculate this delta TLM with the help of formula, that is delta T2 minus delta T1 upon ln of delta T2 by delta T1. So with the help of these three parameters, we can calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient, that is outside overall heat transfer coefficient, that is indicated by capital U suffix O. The unit of this UO should be watt per meter square Kelvin, right? In a similar way, we can calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient on the basis of inside. So for this inside, the similar formula, here it is UI, and on the right hand side Q upon AI into delta TLM. So we can calculate this UI also in terms of watt per meter square Kelvin. So in this table, we can put the values of QH, QC, Q, delta TLM, UO, and UR. If you want to repeat the practical or experiment, then you can change the volumetric flow rate, and on the basis of the change in volumetric flow rate, this QH, QC, Q, delta TLM, UO, UI values are different one. So you can repeat the same procedure for different groups or for different batches. So up till now, we have discussed about the theories, calculations, observations, and our result should be the overall heat transfer coefficient. So there are two overall heat transfer coefficient, that is based on the inside area and second is based on the outside area. So that should be written here in the result, and then we should interpret the results. Why this UI is in the range of this one and why this UO is in the range of this one. So we have to interpret the result and we must conclude this experiment with the help of this procedure, observations, calculations, and results. So there may be some questions which is related to these practicals. For example, give the range of rotameter used to find out the flow rates of hot and cold water. Draw the temperature length curve, that is nothing but the temperature profile curve, which we have already observed for the co-current. Then give any two advantages of DPHE, two disadvantages of DPHE, and some industrial application of this co-current flow double pipe heat exchanger. So I hope you understand what exactly the experiment is, what is the objective of experiment is, what is the procedure of experiment is, what should you know before starting an experiment, what are the formulas which are involved in the calculation of this overall heat transfer coefficient, and what may be the parameter where from this overall heat transfer coefficient can be changed. Thank you.